Greetings, this is Poppy Thompson for Mwananchi Digital, and today we are with the Ambassador of Switzerland to Tanzania, Didier Chassot. Mr. Ambassador, Karibu and welcome to Mwananchi Digital. Well, today we are going to talk about the Tanzania-Switzerland relations dating back to historical ties from political, economic, and your role as the envoy. So, can you just give us a bit of a snippet of your role as the envoy?
Well, as an ambassador, as a head of a diplomatic mission, you are supposed to, first and foremost, promote and defend the interests of your country and your fellow citizens. And this also goes through promoting the cooperation with your country of residence, in that particular case with Tanzania, to find a common interest, to make sure that there is mutual understanding between our two countries, and to move forward on a jointly agreed cooperation path.
Okay, so when we talk about Switzerland and Tanzania, we have maintained historical ties, good relations over the years. Can you tell us some of the areas that truly cement the cordial ties between the two countries?
Yes, Switzerland and Tanzania have a very long history of very close relations and partnership. The first Swiss people who came to Tanzania were here more than 100 years ago, many of them missionaries in the first place, who came to Tanzania to work here. Then 40 years ago, and this year we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of official development cooperation between our two countries. 40 years ago, Tanzania was recognized as a priority country for Switzerland, meaning that this is one of the countries on the continent, if not in the world, where we have one of the more significant development cooperation programs. Of course, we also, I should mention that we recognized and established diplomatic ties almost immediately after the independence, and that was 55 years ago.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about recognizing Tanzania as a priority country. What does that really mean, and what are there any criteria that come into play whenever you decide that a certain country, be it in Africa or any other part of the world, is going to be a priority country?
We do have criteria, and these criteria are established in what we call our strategy for international cooperation, and they are very simple actually. One, it has to correspond to the needs that we see in a country. So we want to be active in a country where we see that there are needs to which we can respond. That's the first and most basic criteria. Second, it also has to fit with our Swiss national interests. But when I say national interest, it is meant in a broader sense, meaning that we, Switzerland, have an interest to a peaceful and stable Earth, planet. So we want to promote peace and stability and prosperity in everywhere where we can. We also want to foster sustainable development. We are worried, as the whole world is at the moment, by climate change and these issues. So if those interests, which are also Swiss interests, are indeed present in a country X or Y, in that case Tanzania, yes, we will try to be of assistance. And the third criteria is that we should feel that there is a basic readiness and willingness, obviously, to cooperate with Switzerland and to follow our rules and manners of doing things in terms, in particular, of good governance and democratic principles.
Yes, indeed. So we'll talk about climate change a little bit later. Now, I want us to look at the 40th anniversary that you'll be marking this year, the development. What are some of the milestones that stand out? What are some of the achievements that have, happened to occur over the past 40 years?
Well, one field, one domain where Switzerland has been particularly active, I think, is the health domain. Most probably you heard already of the Ifakara hub, with all the different health institutions that are located there, the St. Francis Hospital, the Ifakara Institute, and others. And this is really, I would say, a a kind of a flagship project or program that Switzerland has been implemented over the years. There we also have established a very close cooperation between the institute, meaning with Tanzanian institutions, together with Swiss medical institutions of very high quality and renown, like for instance the Swiss TPH, the Swiss Tropical Health Institute in Basel. So in health, really, we have this very close relationship where we could contribute to the development of local capacities, Tanzanian capacities, and also where we could, we believe, we hope, influence in a way the strategic direction that Tanzania took when it comes to health, the health domain.
Now, have the areas of, I would say, development here in Tanzania evolved over the years from when Switzerland started cooperating with Tanzania up to date? What are some of the evolvement that have happened in the areas of funding, say, projects when it comes to health? What are some of the areas that have erupted over the recent past?
Mm-hmm. Indeed, they have. Our cooperation program has evolved over the many decades that we have been working together with our Tanzanian partners. Initially, it was very much about rural development, support to agriculture, and also health, as I mentioned, because this has been a steady involvement and commitment on our part. But yes, rural development, agriculture mainly. Now we just started the implementation of a new country program for 21-24, and we have expanded and slightly reoriented our activities. So we pursue three main objectives or outcomes. We want to support the youth in this country, which is the overwhelming majority. So we want to support them and to facilitate for them the access to meaningful and gainful employment and income, and especially young women and girls. This is very much at the core of our program. Secondly, we want to strengthen the institutions, and there we are talking about governance. In this regard we have a significant commitment towards supporting the efforts of the Tanzanian government to fight against corruption. We have established a close cooperation with PCCB, the Bureau Against Corruption. We have seconded experts, embedded experts to foster the efficiency of the Bureau to fight against corruption. We also initiated such a cooperation in Zanzibar with the equivalent authorities there. So this is really also a top priority. We want to strengthen civic space, so it means also working together with our partners within the civil society, the media, but also human rights defenders, organizations that are fighting against gender-based violence or gender discriminations. So this is also a very significant axis of our cooperation, working together with the civil society in order to strengthen civic space.
Okay, so what's your take on the current government's foreign policy when it comes to creating diplomacy with the international community, be it in the business sphere or political atmosphere as well? So what's your take on the current President Samia Suluhu Hassan's take with relations with other foreign nations?
I think we very much welcome the developments over the past few months. There is a great readiness and openness on the part of the authorities to re-engage and to engage with the donor community, with the partners, with us, which is very much welcome. We see that, again, Tanzania is very active on multilateral fora. The president just went to Glasgow to participate to the COP26, which obviously was very important. She was in New York for the UN General Assembly, which was also a very important signal of Tanzania re-engaging in multilateral fora. So we very much welcome. In relation with the COVID pandemic, also, we very much welcome the policies that are now being implemented, and very much want to support these efforts to tackle the challenges posed by COVID in the country. In terms of business environment, I think we also feel that there is a renewed confidence on the part of business people and potential foreign investors to come and have a look at Tanzania and see where the potential is, because we know that the potential is here. So I think all in all, yes, we very much welcome the current development, and we are really looking forward to strengthen our partnership and our cooperation with the authorities.
Okay, so speaking of foreign investments, when it comes to the Swiss business community that's operating here in Tanzania, what are some of the key areas of interest, and possibly if you guys would touch on some of the challenges that they might be facing? Because, for example, the Nordic community, they did a survey, I think about 3-4 years back, on the business environment vis-a-vis, the Nordic business partners who are operating in Tanzania. Now, when it comes to the Swiss community, can you just give us a bit of an overview of their business operations and just how the situation is on the ground?
Mm-hmm. So mostly our business community in Tanzania, the one that is already established in Tanzania, they are active in the tourism industry, yes, both on mainland and in Zanzibar. Not the big resorts and stuff, but rather small hotels here and there, but very, very active, and this is an important part. Agriculture is also an area where Swiss people and Swiss companies are involved in Tanzania. And then you have a few bigger players, I would say, in the cement industry, gas industry. We have some companies registered in Switzerland that are present and active in Tanzania. What I heard from them when I arrived is that indeed the business environment was a complex and challenging one. As I said, the situation has evolved from that point of view quite favorably. I would say that the overall framework remains complicated at times, a bit cumbersome for a businessman to come and to establish a business in Tanzania. Many authorizations to get and many interlocutors to have. There is still, I think, a potential for improvement from that point of view. We know that the government is willing to tackle those challenges, willing to make it simpler and more efficient for business people to come to Tanzania, and we are ready to support these efforts and we will continue to make our business community in Switzerland aware of the potentialities here in Tanzania.
Okay, so have you engaged with the government on a possible action taken to address some of these challenges?
This is a topic for discussion, and we have mentioned several times. I have, in my meetings with different ministers, mentioned this, what we perceive as a necessity to tackle those challenges. There is this blueprint that everybody is talking about, and I am told, I have to confess that I didn't study the document in great details, but I believe that if this blueprint were to be implemented, it would already solve many of the issues. So again, I know that the government, the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, and other actors are aware of the situation, obviously, and they want to really tackle these issues and these challenges. And as I said, we are ready to support them as much as we can.
Okay, so other than dealing with the government, how does the business community cooperate with the private sector in Tanzania? In what areas of dialogue do you usually engage on?
It's a bit too early for me to say, in the sense that, as I said, I haven't been here for very long, and the situation has changed quite significantly since I've been here. So we are in touch with business people from Switzerland. I have to say that in the past few months, we had several phone calls and visits by delegations, private delegations, who wanted to assess the situation here and to see what their possibilities would be. But this is all quite preliminary. But there is a renewed interest in Tanzania, and a renewed confidence on the part of potential private investors, Swiss in particular, about their possibilities to come here.
Okay, so you have served as the envoy a little over a year now. What some of your personal milestones that you have achieved, and what are your long-term goals in your public service?
I'm not sure I have achieved much since I've been here. Again, this has been very busy times, and the political overall context has changed quite significantly. But but I think we as a team we are quite proud, I would say, that we could launch this new country program 21-24. This is for different reasons. This is both in continuity to what Switzerland has been doing in Tanzania over the years, but there are also new areas that we want to explore, and new domains where we would like to bring our contributions. So this was, I think, I would say this is a reason for satisfaction on our part, that we are about, in spite of what were some difficulties, we were able to launch this new program. As far as I'm concerned, and there again, COVID considerations have to unfortunately have made it a bit more complicated. But for me, those first months were about meeting the people, understanding the country, and showing my face basically, so that people would understand that there is a new ambassador and that he's willing to work together with them. It's too soon to speak of achievements. My personal motto is start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. So that's what I've been trying to do, and that's what I will try to continue to do in the coming years here in Tanzania. As for an achievement that I would like to leave when I go, I don't really. This is not really an objective of mine to leave something behind. One of our expression also in the foreign service is that you always work for your successor. So if I can make sure that my successor can come in and find a good situation and a potential to further exploit, I will be very satisfied.
Okay, so you have served in other countries as an envoy. What would you say, in as far as you have your role here in Tanzania, is the big difference in terms of your duties as an envoy here in Tanzania compared to other areas where you have served?
Well, before coming to Tanzania, I served in Venezuela for 4 years, and there, with all the difficulties that we know of in this country. And there the focus was very much on dealing on almost a daily basis with the situation, be it the political situation, the socio-economic situation, the humanitarian situation. So we were very much on a day-to-day, almost crisis management mode. And we put, because we are Switzerland, we put a lot of emphasis in particular on humanitarian issues, how to best answer the needs from that point of view. One of the biggest differences that I find here in Tanzania is that we have this development cooperation program, we have these longer term commitments, and so this is in a way quite rewarding to be able here in Tanzania to work longer term, to have maybe more strategic input in cooperation with the government and with other relevant actors. I would say this has been the main difference between these two postings.
Okay, so let's revisit the issue of climate change, because that's the topical issue at the moment, considering that's the COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. We had what the president of Tanzania during her address, her speech, the call to the developed country, the big economies, to play a leading role, to contribute a bit more on trying to mitigate the adverse impacts of climate change. As Switzerland, what's your stand on this, and as a country, because climate change is one of the areas of interest here in Tanzania. You're also trying to help to address some of these issues. Now, as Switzerland, what's your view on that, and what action are you personally taking as a country to address climate change?
Well, indeed, this is an issue that concerns us both. All of us. over the planet. And indeed, this is a priority of our country program already, climate change. We want to bring our contribution in the matter. So I would say that there are several things, several projects that we can think of. One is to better manage the natural resources of the country, so that there will not be an over use of these natural resources. Another field where Switzerland has a good know-how and expertise is in sustainable energy, energy efficiency, this kind of topics. And so there we have to see with our Tanzanian partners if we can move toward that direction.
Okay, so on 9th December this year, Tanzania mainland will be marking 60 years of independence. Can you tell us what's Switzerland's message, personal message to the Tanzanian government with regards to the close ties that the two partners have maintained over the years?
Well, the main message is congratulations on the journey so far, and you can count on us for the 60 coming years. So we want to remain a close partner to Tanzania. Tanzania has made tremendous progress socio-economically and others, and we want to continue to bring our contributions and to support these efforts. The challenges are there. We spoke about the youth in this country. This is a challenge to deal with, but this is also a tremendous opportunity. There is a lot of energy in the country thanks to the youth, innovative ideas and creativity. This is also what we want to support so that the country can continue its development, political and socio-economic.
Okay, any personal message to the Swiss community here in Tanzania?
I had opportunities also already to meet with many of them, but my message is thank you for being here, thank you for being ambassadors of Switzerland in Tanzania, and they know because we've had those conversations already that the embassy is there for them, and we want to also support their efforts and their endeavors in Tanzania, because this also contributes to reinforcing the relations and the cooperation between our two countries.
Great. On that note, Mr. Ambassador, thank you. It's been a great dialogue. Well, you were with me, Mpoki Thompson. We had a great dialogue with the Switzerland Ambassador to Tanzania, Mr. Didier. Until next time, bye-bye.